Hey guys. So, like we've started off the past couple episodes, I do want to give you an update on the Kickstarters that are currently going on from my friends Ed and Greg. And so, Ed's Kaiju RPG will have wrapped up by the time this airs. So, it reached its goal before we even started talking about it, and it is at like $5,000. So if you supported that one, that's super awesome, and you'll definitely enjoy playing Eric Kaiju, I'm sure. Um, and then Grace Under Pressure is at like 80% funded. Um, he's at $257 of 300. So go help him hit his 100%. I definitely know you won't regret it. And then as far as scales go, scales is sitting at 1,800 out of 1,500, so they are fully funded, and they've got some stretch goals in mind that they're wanting to do. So don't just because these projects are funded, or if these projects are funded, however you want to word it, still go back a funded project, because one, you're guaranteed to get it, and then two, a lot of times there's stretch goals involved, and if they meet those stretch goals, you get even more stuff. And so it's definitely something worth looking into. Kickstarter is a great way to help independence. I'm definitely going to be doing some in the future. Just trying to get some things together on my end, and then yeah, we'll you know go down that road ourselves at some point. But I'm super stoked for these guys. I definitely am looking forward to having them both back on the podcast at some point, and looking forward to chopping it up. And I've got some ideas in my mind on a few things to do in the future. I'm letting my creative stuff kind of come to a boil. I guess we're gonna see where things end up. But let's get on into the episode.
What is going on, everybody? We have our own playlist now up on Spotify that we have put together of just a handful of several different songs that we like to listen to throughout the day that just kind of help us get through the day. So go check out the playlist, see what you think. Let us know some songs that you would like to hear on the playlist, and we'll see if we can get them in there. But we're going to be changing the playlist up throughout time. So it's not always going to be the same songs. But come check it out. Tin Roof playlist over on Spotify.
Hey y'all, just wanted to let y'all know about a super sweet sponsorship real quick before we get started with the podcast today. I am now sponsored by Dubby, an energy drink company. They make it in like a powder form, so you have to buy it online from w.gg. And if you use the code STORIES10, which you can find that down in the description or what have you below, comments, whichever one you want to call it. I think it's description. But you can find the code there, STORIES10. Go over to w.gg and get you some super excellent powder. I've already tried the Hydro, huge fan of it, which that's a zero caffeine, zero sugar, like hydration option, which is fantastic. And I will definitely be buying quite a bit of it for this summer. And then, of course, the energy drink stuff. They've got like a Dragonade, which is like a dragon fruit lemonade, which I can't wait to try. Um, a peaches and like like what is it? Peach and mango that looks really really good. I've got some of that. I got a couple other like sampler flavors that I can't wait to try, and I will be making another order soon. This stuff looks fantastic, so go check out W. What is going on, you guys? So I don't know what the deal was with the volume on like my stuff last week. Hopefully it's way better this week. I'm back recording in the room I normally record in my house, and I'm going to talk a little louder. So hopefully all those things help. Because I guess maybe I was talking quieter last week, and I don't know if it's because I like wasn't intentionally trying to, or what exactly the deal was. But we're back at it today, and I'm super excited for today's episode because we're gonna break it down in a different format than what we have been. Like we've been talking a lot of news and different things like that. Today, I started thinking about it the other day, and a lot of it has been because Corn has hit their 30th anniversary. Um, And so, like, being a Korn fan, I've been thinking back to all the different things that I have enjoyed from them. And it got me thinking about one thing in particular. And I would imagine if you're listening to this show that you're the demographic that shops at Walmart. Let's let's just put it that way. And that's not a bad thing because I shop at Walmart too. I love Walmart. But the reason why that's important for today is because back in the day, in the center of like the electronics aisles, like out in the main walkway, not in like the actual aisles of the electronics, they still have them for whatever reason, even though everybody is streaming now. That those bins, sorry, my brain is not working with me this morning. Those bins where you can get a DVD out of there for like $5 or whatever. In those bins were DVDs of concerts from a specific festival. Uh, I actually gave one of those DVDs as a gift to my mom, I believe, and it was of Johnny Cash, and it was a live performance from a jazz festival in Sweden. That jazz festival is called Montreux. At least that's or Montreux. How like Montreux, something like that. Uh, at least that's how Jonathan Davis from Korn said it because like in his video, like in Korn's DVD, because I eventually ended up buying that for myself a few years later. Uh, which we're gonna get into all that here in a second, but he said it that way, and so like that's why I say it that way. But um it was a festival. It is a festival. It's still going on. This festival, I wanted to like look back into the history of it and everything like that, especially since it's primarily a jazz festival. It's like, okay, uh, why are people like Johnny Cash and Korn being invited to a jazz festival? Well, it's because they bring in big acts quite often. Uh, so it started back in 1967, and some of the very first guests that they had were people like Aretha Franklin. Uh, they had Miles Davis several times. ZZ Top was even like a return artist that, or group of artists, return band that got to go there several times. Um, and so, like, I just want to read you a little bit about the start and whatnot of this festival. And it takes place every summer. So back in 1967, the festival was formed by, I lost my page, by Claude Nobbs, and he, let's see, Claude Nobbs, Rene Lengel, and Gilles Vomard organized the first edition of the festival over 3 days with a budget of 10,000 francs, which 10,000 francs equals, well, equaled about 2,025 US dollars. And today, what does that look like? 10,000 francs would be 11,329 United States dollars. Huh. Interesting fact. So, I'll let you think on that one. uh, so, started in 67, and the headline acts included Charles Lloyd, Keith Jarrett, and Jacques DeJohnette. Now, I know country music and I know metal. I am not a jazz guy. I know the big names, but we're looking at some of these because, well, it's important to this festival. But this festival also has roots in the other things like we've already mentioned. So Bill Evans, his concert in '68 at the festival immortalized it on an album that earned a Grammy Award. And the Shillong Castle is pictured on the cover. By the way, I don't remember if I mentioned this or not. It takes place in Sweden. Sweden does some like really cool things, and it's like an 11-day festival. It's like a couple of weeks long. So 69 Ella Fitzgerald plays the festival for the first time. And then 1970, less than 1 year after his Woodstock performance, Carlos Santana gives his first concert at Montreux. And so, like, I think that that's a big deal. Like, right there, we've hit the Santana stuff, and like we're getting into some like impressive like guitar stuff and whatnot at this point. Um, and it's really cool to kind of break it down. Uh, in this way because it kind of helps better understand like where they came from with bringing in some of the people they did. And I did a lot of like research as far as like what bands and stuff played there. I read all the way up to I want to say 2004 last night, bands that were uh, a part of this festival starting from 67. And it was a ton of fun to do the research, but it definitely helped me get the idea of like what this festival means, because like bands from America, not like big famous bands, but even jazz bands from like colleges and stuff get invited over there to play and everything. But there's years where they don't have any names that I recognize, and it's more jazzy. And so I think of it from an aspect of uh, formerly working in promotions myself, where like for example, I primarily dealt with fairs. So you have a fair that's had a few good years, and say they bring in a big act. Well, okay, that was really big for them and it was great, but it still really pushed their budget. Like they had to save essentially to make that happen. Well, now they have to kind of scale back, um, and kind of shift gears a little bit, if you will, and uh, change things up on how they did it. That is purely an outsider's opinion. I have no idea what their finances were or anything like that for this festival, but there are several years where it's like they had huge names and then they backed it back down to names that I don't know. Now, could they have, needed to scale back because they went so big the year before? Absolutely. But what I'm trying to get at is the fact that this festival has gone on from 67 to today. I mean, it's very well handled. Um, Continuing on in 1971, the fire at Montreux Casino during a Frank Zappa concert inspires Deep Purple to write the hit "Smoke on the Water," which is super super cool because like everybody knows that song. Down, 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 down. And so the fact that uh, that song is based off of that is or inspired by that, not necessarily based off of, is really really cool. But I mean, if you look at some of these pictures for Montreux, it like beautiful place. I would love to go and take in one of these concerts. Uh, it would have to be somebody like I'm really interested in seeing. I could see, but they actually have like pictures of Funky Claude during the Montreux fire, uh, or during the fire at Montreux Casino, like carrying a hose. Uh, just crazy. 1980, Marvin Gaye gives his only performance at Montreux Jazz Festival. After watching concert recordings at Claude Knob's home, he agrees to be filmed on stage. That's that's really cool. 1982, Swiss artist Jean Tingley imagines the poster of the Montreux Jazz Festival and creates a highly recognizable logo, which that logo is what they use on the DVDs. If you have ever looked at one of the DVDs from Walmart, like I was talking about earlier, and
then David Bowie actually performed there in 2002. I thought he had. Hang on one second, because I think he, if I'm not mistaken, he played there another time. Okay, so yeah, I guess I was wrong. For whatever reason, I thought he was one of the people that returned a few times, but he recorded a live album at Montreux, uh, and there is some video. I don't know if it's a full concert video, uh, but he did a live concert recording from Montreux. Looks like the complete show is available on YouTube. So again, neat. So lots of famous people have played Montreux. Uh, like I've said, 2004, Korn plays there, and Korn wasn't the only like big metal band that played there that year. Well, I say metal, but more like mm, rock, I guess. We'll just leave it at rock because like Cypress Hill was there, and so many other bands have played there, like Garbage, Bush. So several big name bands. So this, I mean, this is a big deal, and like for this year, the dates are July 5th through the 20th. In 2007, Prince, uh, like showed up surprise, like it was a surprise. Uh, no, no, no. So in 2007, Prince was there for a concert, and then he did a surprise jam session later on that same year, or like that same festival. And then in 2009 he returned, and then in 2013 he performed 3 nights. 2013, Claude Knobs passes away in January. The festival's audiovisual archives are listed in UNESCO's Memory of the World Register under the name The Claude Knobs Legacy. Uh, 2016 was the 50th anniversary, and then they had like numerous special projects. It's nodded to its history with Deep Purple playing "Smoke on the Water" with Frank Zappa's son. So let's go look at the 2016 lineup, since that was their 50th year. And if you want to look up the lineups yourself for Montreux, you can do so. I will put the link to the website in uh, the description. There we go. I couldn't think there for a second. I was trying to do too many things at once. I apologize. All right, so 2016. So we're looking for Muse played in 2016. Uh, for our emo fans that might be listening, we had guys like Ty Dolla $ign, Young Thug. So even in the rap world, it was a big deal. Several of like hip hop and pop people had played. I kind of wanted to keep it more like focused on metal. Meshuggah played. Okay, so yeah, there you go. ZZ Top came back again and played as well. Slayer was there for the 2016 one. Uh, huge names that were there. Neil Young. I'm not a Neil Young fan. I, you know, kind of agree with Leonard Skinner when it comes to Neil Young. But I want to say I think I remember seeing a copy of. I'm gonna have to look to make sure that that's correct, but I think that one of Neil Young's concerts there was recorded, uh, to like be put on DVD or whatever. Santana again in uh 2016 as well. So Santana got to play several times. Man, they had some big names in 2016. Uh, so I stopped at 2004, like I said with my research. But let's take some looking real quick. Audio Slave in 2005. Uh, looks like Apocalyptica. No, okay, so I stopped in 2005. So Garbage was there in 2005. Audio Slave, Apocalyptica, which Apocalyptica kind of fits with the whole Montreux vibe because, or at least in my opinion, more so than like Korn does. They definitely look. It seems like go for unique sounds, and so it would not surprise me if in the future we see somebody like Sleep Token there because of unique sounding bands being invited to play. Here's a cool one. 2007, Heaven and Hell. Uh, that's the name of the band, if you're not familiar with them. But it consisted of Ronnie James Dio, Tommy Yami, so a couple people from Black Sabbath, Warren Scott. I'm sorry, I messed up on the name there. Geezer Butler and Vinny Appice, and they played. This is cool because you can also look up like the set list. So they played E5150, Mob Rules, Children of the Sea, Son of the Southern Sign of the Sign of the Southern Cross, Voodoo, Computer God, Falling Off the Edge of the World, Shadow of the Wind, Die Young, Heaven and Hell, and Neon Nights. Motorhead played in 2007, and they had a really cool set too. Snaggletooth, Stay Clean, Be My Baby, Killers, Metropolis, Over the Top, One Night Stand, I Got Mine, Tragedy. Really great set list, including Ace of Spades and Overkill. The Beastie Boys played there in 2007, and they played there another time too. But in 2007, another great set list, including Sabotage to end it off. They played Sure Shot, which is one of my favorites. Pass the Mic. Yeah, just super cool. They actually played 2 nights in 2007. And they concluded both sets, it looks like, with Sabotage, which why wouldn't you? Because that's like their biggest song. So in 09, Alice Cooper played Montreux, and I want to say that he played. This is going to take a minute of looking. But I want to say he played there multiple times. So we're going to take a look. Okay, so he played there in 05, which that became a DVD. Okay. And he played there, what did I just say? 09? He played there again in 09. I thought that there might be another. I thought that there was another time. So let's see. In 2010, Alanis Morissette is another multiple time player. I don't know how to word that. Like return artist. Yeah, there you go. Return artist. We'll go with that. Sometimes it's a struggle to like come up with what exactly to say on the first try. uh, Another one that is a uh, multiple return artist would be Bob Dylan. Uh, let's see. I'm looking at 2012 right now. I wonder. Okay, so I'm not a huge Bob Dylan fan. So for his set in 2012, um, like he played probably what I would imagine is several of people's favorite songs. However, like for me, the only ones I really know is like a Rolling Stone and Blowing in the Wind. He played All Along the Watchtower, which is interesting. Because that's a Hendrix song. I didn't realize he did a cover of that one. Uh, so that's kind of cool. I'm gonna have to see if I can't find that as a song that might be out there to listen to. Green Day played in 2013 with a set that featured several of their old songs, it looks like,
including like Basket Case, uh, which obviously I feel like you have to play that one if you're Green Day and you're trying to be at like that kind of level. Again, like playing some of their big hits. 99 Revolutions is what they started their set list off with. And then you see things like Letter Bomb a few songs later, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, When September Ends, Burnout, Hitchin' a Ride, St. Jimmy, Longview, Minority, X Kid, Medley, King for a Day. So some really, really good songs that, Green Day is known for. ZZ Top again in 2013. And they played for that set list. Got Me Under Pressure, Waiting for the Bus, Jesus Just Left Chicago, Give Me All Your Lovin', Pincushion, 25 Lighters, Flying High, Kiko, I Love the Woman, Foxy Lady, My Head's in Mississippi, Chartreuse, Sharp Dressed Man, Legs, LaGrange, and Tush. So, let's see. And then remember, that was also 2013 was also the year that Prince played three nights. One thing that I found interesting during my research, just because of like the way Montreux is set up and whatnot with their guests and everything that they had, Lionel Richie, I don't recall seeing him in the list. Of course, I've gone through almost 50 years worth at this point of research where the first time he's played is July of, like, obviously because the festival takes place in July, but July of 2015 is his first time there. And somebody like Lionel Richie, you would think would fit right into the categories that Montreux would want, as well as Lenny Kravitz. He's not, on there either up until this time. And Santana comes back in 2015 as well. In 2018, we have Billy Idol uh, playing for, if I'm not mistaken, his first time. Alice in Chains in 2018. So this would have been uh, most definitely after the death of Lane Staley. They played. So the band at the time made up of Jerry Cantrell, guitar and vocals, Sean Kinney, drums, Mike Inez on the bass, and William Duvall, vocals and guitar. And they played Don't Follow, No Excuses, Your Decision, Got Me Wrong, Down in a Hole, Voices, Brother, Nutshell, Heaven Beside You, When the Sun Rose Again, Wood, and Rooster. So a really good set by Alice in Chains for the 2018 festival. And Alice in Chains is one of my favorite bands. So that's really cool to see that they were, invited to play the festival. That same year we have Nine Inch Nails on the list as well. And I mean, it's it's a huge list of people every year. And you can definitely see it grows as the years go on whenever you look at the lists. Slash, this is again the first time that I recognize, like, remember seeing his name too, would have been in 2019. ZZ Top back again in 2019. So Montreux definitely loves them some ZZ Top for sure. Lizzo played in 2019 as well. I say that just to get you an idea of, because obviously, like, I'm not a Lizzo fan. That's not my kind of music. Uh, Elton John played there as well that same year. So like they get big names to play there. In 2020 there was not a festival because of COVID. 2021, the return year, uh they really kept it to people that I'm not too familiar with. Of course, a return thing like that would be tough to probably go right back after having huge names. And the same even goes for 2022. Nothing that's, really sticking out as like somebody I would recognize. Bob Dylan returned in 2023. Lionel Richie returned in 2023. Iggy Pop played in 2023. Again, not people that I really listen to, but it goes. I'm mentioning them because I feel like that they deserve to be mentioned as far as like discussing this festival, and it gives you a really good idea of like what they were really striving for. I'm kind of surprised that Johnny Cash only played it the one time in '94, just because like his style and everything else. Johnny Cash's set list featured Folsom Prison Blues as the opening song, Get Rhythm, Sunday Morning Coming Down, I Guess Things Happen That Way, I Walk the Line, Ring of Fire, Ghost Riders in the Sky, Delia's Gone, uh, Tennessee Stud, Bird on a Wire, Let the Train Blow the Whistle, The Beast in Me, Redemption, Big River, Jackson with June Carter, Will the Circle Be Unbroken with June Carter and John Carter, Cash. Got to get that part in there for him especially, but obviously I could do the same for June Carter as well. Orange Blossom Special, San Quentin, Next Time I'm in Town. Of course, he was also getting up there in years, and so was June Carter. And, they passed uh, early 2000s. And so they were probably getting to the point like that was their last 10 years of life. And, Johnny Cash played his last concert right before June Carter's death. I think is like the last time he played. So, like that kind of travel and everything may have been difficult for him to go that far. This year's lineup, this year they are having another country artist that I'm not familiar with, but it is like a highlighted one. That would be Dylan Gossett. I'm gonna have to look his stuff up because I am not a familiar fan or familiar to his music. But this is what happens when you try to read and talk all at the same time. So, but uh, in the article that Montreux has posted, like with the lineup of like 20 people that they, recommend you watching this year, talking about Dylan Gossett, they say our bookers love him because country music is finding its audience in Europe thanks to a new generation of artists like Dylan Gossett. Without filter or presentation, he sings vulnerable cowboy lyrics with a gravelly voice and acoustic guitar, a few chords, an old violin, or a harmonica, and you feel like camping in the desert with him. Dylan is embarking on his very first headlining tour in 2024. So that might be somebody I end up talking about quite a bit because that sounds like somebody that would be right up my alley. Uh, Out of the 20 artists that they recommend, he was the only one I seen worth mentioning. Personal opinion, obviously. Bob Dylan returns for this year's Montreux. And then, let's see. Looks like Lionel Richie, Simply Red, and Seal will also be playing this year's festival. So Billy Idol has united with some uh, members of a very famous punk rock band to play a set, and so that's really cool and interesting. Uh, so that'll be something to kind of pay attention to because I didn't even know that that was a thing. And I love me some old punk rock. Uh, Big fan of the Ramones, the Clash. Uh, so that'll be that'll be cool. Really, that kind of looks like all the people that would be worth mentioning for this year's. As far as like what I would be interested in watching and like or listening to. Um, yeah. So Montreux lives on, and we've covered a lot of ground with it. I I hope this, you know, even though there are several years where there are stuff that I wouldn't listen to, it's a big staple in the music world. I hope it continues on and they continue having big guests and everything like that because it seems like it's more than just a jazz festival. But they definitely seem to have a interest in sound, certain sounds, uh, because of who they bring in. And um, I
I appreciate that about this festival, and they even like seem to like kind of almost step outside of it at times with people that they've brought in. Maybe not necessarily for popularity, but then again, maybe a little bit, because like outside of metalheads, Meshuggah is not a big deal, but you know it is within the metalhead group of people. The fact that they've had Motorhead there is a really cool ordeal, and uh, Alice Cooper and whatnot. Which Alice Cooper said he doesn't plan on retiring, as long as he continues to be able to have the energy to play like he did in '75. So that's really cool to think about. But one day he'll just be like, "Yeah, I'm done." Uh, that's a guy that I think would be neat to see in concert because I have not seen him in concert. So I have talked about uh, several other set lists, but I do want to touch on Corn set list and why this concert was so big and like kind of important. And the emphasis that I put on it was one of the last ones that Brian Head Welch did with the band prior to his leaving around that same time in 2004 because he had become a Christian, and so it was a big deal for it being one of the last concerts that he was a member of the band for that time. He is now since back, which we'll discuss at some point, somewhere's down the road. But uh, I'm not going to list all of their songs uh, for reasons, but they did play like some of my favorite songs, including "Right Now," uh, which if you're going to listen to it, I recommend the edited version for my own purposes that I have explained before. But right now, Got the Life. I really love the bass solo at the beginning of Got the Life. It's probably just one of my absolute favorite things. Um, they did their cover of One, which I really enjoy. Blind, Falling Away from Me, Did My Time. So several awesome songs in that set list. But now we're going to introduce a new section to this podcast. Um, I've been trying to decide on how I wanted to do a few different things, and at this point, my list of podcasts is building up because I've been working on a third project, uh, and that one's been pretty interesting. But because of already having three potential podcasts, two that are currently being recorded weekly, I needed to figure out a different way to do what I want to do. And so it was suggested because I pretty much talk about whatever I want on this podcast already whenever I was discussing things with my wife. She said, well, just, talk about it on Tin Roof. So here we are on Tin Roof. We're introducing this new section called Throwing Dirt. So the whole idea with Throwing Dirt is it's a section to talk about racing every week. So that being said, spent some time this weekend at the ARA rally in the 100 Acre Wood watching some rally racing. It was kind of a bummer because we were only able to be there for stage 2 and stage 3. And so we got to see a handful of passes for stage 2, and we wanted to go get set up for stage 3 so we could see the lead cars. And whenever we went to go get set up for stage 3, Brendan Brandon Semenuk, I'm sorry, flew down past us on stage 3 with his pass, and then they had to nix the entire rest of stage 3 because spectators were not following the rules, and so they had to uh, cut it off there. That was a really big bummer, and so we didn't get to see any more after that. But whenever we were watching, it was man, it was really really good racing. McKenna and his Ford Fiesta actually was in first going into stage 2, but by the end of stage 5, he had cut a tire down and lost about 40 seconds, and so currently uh, he is in. at the time of recording this in like 5th place, or he might be back up to 3rd now. But um, I'm gonna, I guess, now I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'll need to do a little bit more recording to kind of update on who ends up winning. But it's really interesting. I watched the highlight videos before I started recording this, and Travis Pastrana is racing rally car racing right now, and even Travis said something that totally blew me away because it's just not something that's usually being said. But Travis is like worried and not feeling as brave as the other two of the top three, being McKenna and Semenuk. And you just don't hear that from somebody like Travis, because Travis loves speed and is an adrenaline junkie. I mean, the dude was the first guy to ever do a double backflip on a dirt bike. And so that was kind of crazy to hear, but it is such a. He even pointed it out. The sections that they were running yesterday are some of the fastest sections of the season. And so it was a lot of fun. I definitely want to go back and watch it again. Um, yeah, rally car racing is super sweet. If you've never like considered taking it in, I highly recommend watching Dirtfish. I will try to remember to put a link to their stuff in the description. But Dirtfish is like a news coverage or whatever. Like they show highlights and different things and talk about rally car racing and stuff. Like they're like totally like dedicated to the sport of rally, and it's fantastic. But we'll come back to rally before the close of this. Uh, I guess up next, since we so again, the whole thing about throwing dirt is I'm not a huge asphalt guy. Asphalt racing is not really for me unless you're talking rallycross, which uh, for those of you who may not be familiar with rallycross is a circuit race as opposed to a straight direct rally race where rally, you're racing from one end to the other trying to get a time. Rally is, side by side car racing, multiple laps on a track, and usually rallycross tracks go from what is known as tarmac or asphalt in my vernacular, and it goes from tarmac to dirt, and there's jumps and lots of turns. It's really fun racing. Travis Pastrana actually has a rallycross series here in America known as Nitro RX, and it is fantastic. Um, lots of fun to watch. I can't think of any other way to put it. So asphalt racing like NASCAR and stuff won't really be mentioned much on here. Only when rallies are done on tarmac, because like Rally Monte Carlo is Rally Sweden's actually done on snow because it's always dumping snow whenever they're in Rally Sweden. Um, so just a handful of asphalt events will be mentioned here. But that being said, the next subject is monster trucks. So uh, back in February, late January, Tom Mintz suffered an injury at the Indianapolis Monster Jam, and he has had to have fill-ins. Well, there's a couple of big fill-ins from this weekend that I wanted to mention. The first one being Ryan Anderson will actually be in a Gravedigger truck as opposed to a Son of a Digger truck this weekend in Albuquerque, which is kind of a big deal to me because this is only the second time that it's happened. And then Cody Saucier, who, from my understanding, hadn't really been driving much here as of late. He'll be filling in for Tom Mintz in Maximum Destruction. So just wanted to hit on those couple of things. I won't really talk too much about Monster Jam, usually, just because I, I I dig the independence when it comes to monster trucks. So a team that I've got some like whatever with they so ah there was a monster truck from like my hometown area back in the day known as Tailgater. Well, that original owner has since retired. His name was Doug Nelke, and that team has now been uh, that name has been run by another team from Missouri that I know fairly well, and they did something special for Tailgater this year. They just unveiled the body this weekend, actually. You should go check out the picture of it. It is a black and white, like albino looking tailgater body, as opposed to it's usually like a green and like little hints of like purple and stuff on the body. So like the black and white body on there looks super super clean and just so cool. I really enjoy it, and they're running with the toughest monster truck tour. I tried to find points prior to this recording, and I could not. So that was kind of a bummer. Um, I do know the body's already wrecked from last night, though. I did get that update. So the body lasted one show. Um, Another piece of uh, as far as independents go, toughest monster truck tour is one of, well, if not the biggest um, independent monster truck promotion. And I mean, they go into some big arenas. Like this weekend, they're in the Lafayette Cajun Dome. Um, it's like the size of a hockey arena, but the 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 draw there is really big. And they do places like Beaumont, Texas, under the Monster Nation name. They go to Colorado. They were doing the Colorado State Fair. I don't know if they still are or not. They were coming to Independence, Missouri. That date was not on there this year, but hopefully it'll return in another year or two because I would really like to go to that one. Um, well, I got some ideas for like some monster truck stuff that I want to talk about in the future. So we'll save that for another episode though, because this one's starting to get a little lengthy. But moving on, we'll go ahead and move on because at that point I'll just continue to talk and ramble. But in World of Outlaws late models, there was a really interesting development that happened uh, after the like one of the very first races of the season, if not the first race of the season, at Volusia Speedway Park in Florida. And so, what ended up happening is there was a suspension and fine to late model driver Bobby Pierce after he failed a tire test sampling after the competition of the World of Outlaws race there on February 16th, 2024. So the tire sample was taken after completion of the feature event and sent to an independent laboratory for testing of chemically altering substances in the tires in a comparative analysis. The test revealed the tire did not match or conform to the benchmarks provided by Hoosier Tire Company. Additional analysis verified the primary laboratory findings. So that eventually led to the disqualification of Pierce from the event, and he was fined in total $8,400. So $1,000 for the fine, $400 for tire analysis fee, and $7,000 lost in prize money. So kind of wild. Um, and he is suspended from all World Racing Group events for the next 30 days, or the next 4 completed events in the World of Outlaws late model series. So pretty pretty tough, and he even lost 294 series owner and driver points for 2024 season, and uh, just huge hit there for him. It's pretty wild that they I I never thought the tire sampling was a thing. That was a new rule to me to hear about, and so that was pretty crazy to see. But I don't think he was the only one. I'm pretty sure somebody else ended up with a fine for. So it was Kyle Bronson Motorsports and Devin Morin that also were fined, and they both respectively lost. So Bronson was fined $3,400 and Morin was fined $10,400. So Morin is in big trouble. It kind of surprises me that they were so focused on Bobby Pierce with uh, like what he lost. Obviously, he lost some really big winnings. I don't know too much about why Morin was fined $10,400, but um, I will do better research for next time. This was like hurry up and kind of grab information this time, so I apologize for that. But I almost liken it to, obviously, like whatever compound they used was to improve their grip, and so I wonder how they were able to do that uh, in this case. So that's something I'm going to research and do a follow up on. But um, obviously, like, so Hoosier is a tire sponsor of the World of Outlaws, and they are like the tire provider. Like, you have to run Hoosier tires. So one thing that I want to look up in particular is, like, do these teams go out and buy their tires like prior to the event, or do they pick them up on site, take them back to their trailer, and then do something to them at their trailer? So, like, I'm going to do some research on that, and then um yeah, that's pretty much what I have for throwing dirt for right now. Mint 400 last weekend was super super awesome. That was a total, like, a super fun watch. Definitely go back and check the highlights from Mint 400. You can search it on YouTube. Um, that's the second out of 3 races from desert racing that are now like a point series through unlimited off road. I don't know point standings because, like, they didn't announce them whenever they were going off the air. So I'll probably do a follow up with that. I'm really looking forward to our next episode though, because we're gonna do a few things different again. Like, we're changing it up again for sure for the next episode. So uh, let me know what you think of this throwing dirt section. We still got a little bit to cover in it, but I do want to hear y'all's thoughts.
All right, guys, definitely time to wrap it up. I got my dog Penelope here. She's wanting some attention, but definitely time to wrap it up. We've had a really good episode today. So the recording for this has been kind of all over the place. We've already discussed a little bit about that, but Seminuk did end up winning. McKenna fell back, and it was all the highlight videos and everything. Looks like it's going to be a 3-car race between McKenna, Seminuk, and Pastrana. So that'll be a fun series to watch, I think, as far as rally racing goes. Really looking forward to the next WRC event. I'm still learning about how WRC does their points and everything. Uh, it's very different there than what it is here as far as like the points chase and stuff goes. It's kind of hard to wrap your my mind around. Not necessarily. Maybe you are a WRC fan and you are like, you think it's super simple. But yeah, I really enjoyed chopping it up with you all about all the different things today. Um, I did come across something though, uh, as we enter into post production whateverness here, but it was a post talking about the end of Johnny Cash's career, which I do want to get into, like a whole episode about Johnny Cash, kind of like what we've done for Montreux Festival this week. But in Virginia, 2003, Johnny Cash would sit down for his last ever public performance, helped by 2 gentlemen to his chair. Johnny stops to grab a plectrum from his pocket before being handed an acoustic guitar. He then says his trademark "Hello, I'm Johnny Cash" before embarking on his final performance. Despite having a nervous system disease, Johnny's performance was spectacular as he played in his instantly recognizable style and still enjoyed every note played. His final performance came just 2 months after his wife June had passed away, making this a surprise performance and a triumph of the great man's spirit. Really cool little thing that was actually shared on Facebook, and I really am glad that they did. It was a lot of fun to read, and I'm definitely enjoying doing this podcast. And yeah, I can't say enough good words about it all. But yeah, I think it's time we call it a Monday, and y'all, continue about your day. And thank you so much for spending some time with me today as we talked all different kinds of things. And yeah, man, y'all be good. You hear? And we'll see you right here again on Monday on the Tin Roof Podcast.